Yes, we have extensively covered a ton of physical exclusives and must-have non-backwards compatible games for the good old Xbox 360. But as physical will always live on thanks to being, well, physical, it's time we delved into the digital realm instead, as these download-only games are all but effectively gone once the store closes. Well, that is unless you sail the high seas anyway. But if you want to load up your console the legal way with all the non-backwards compatible digital games before it's too late, well then we got you covered. In our physical exclusives breakdown video, I mentioned that the god-ruddy awful Bomberman game known as Act Zero is indeed an exclusive and highly sought after, even though it's absolutely fecking naff. So instead of gifting some reseller bellends your hard-earned bees and honey by cursing your disc tray with that trash, why not go down the digital route and grab the exclusive Bomberman Live instead? And yeah, I'm not sure what I can say about it other than it's the ruddy standard Bomberman affair you know and love.
Yes.
Run around, pick up power-ups, strategically place your bombs and try not to get blown to ruddy smithereens in the process. It's hardly the best game in Bomberman's rich history, and its sequel did make the jump over to newer Xbox hardware, so the only reason to blast away £6.75 or $10 on this one is just for the sake of video game preservation. But don't fret, as the game is bundled into the Xbox Live Arcade pack, but the compilation never made its way to England, so that's why it makes this list. Sadly, the indie store is dead and buried, so I can no longer recommend grabbing yourself Power Volley. But something that is kinda similar is Blazing Birds, a game that does not feature winged animals on fire, but does feature, robots playing a futuristic power-up based version of ruddy badminton. While the game does feature a solo campaign, I'd only recommend getting this one if you can get some of your chums over, as Blazing Birds can be the shuttlecock-shaped hits when it comes to its simple yet frantic multiplayer that allows up to 4 players to battle it out. The game is currently sitting at $4.99 US and a mere £3.39 in the UK. In the not-so-United Kingdom, we have to pay a fee every ruddy year known as a TV license that legally grants us tea-sipping simpletons the ability to watch TV. But most people don't. But why am I telling you all this? Well, in 2010, the BBC dropped Battle Academy onto the 360 store. And no, the game is not about joining the battlefield that is trying to get people to pay their TV licenses for channels they don't watch, but is instead a World War set turn-based strategy title. Is it any good though? Well, that depends on you, as if you like taking your time to conquer those that stand in your way, then waiting your turn for the enemy to do the same, well, Battle Academy's bright and distinct comic-like visuals and easy to pick up yet difficult to master gameplay will likely tickle your camouflage pickle. But if not, then its high price point of £23 and 99 pence is probably money best spent elsewhere. Console-wise, this one is exclusive, but if you're still intrigued by the game and don't want to pay the hefty price, well, the game is also available on PC and mobiles. Do you remember the classic game Lemmings? Do you remember Happy Tree Friends? Well, in 2008, Sega merged Lemmings' iconic gameplay with the over-the-top cartoon violence of that cult favorite adult animation, which resulted in the creation of Happy Tree Friends False Alarm. And yeah, I gotta say, initially it's pretty fun, and the game's novel concept is simple, refreshing, and amusing. But yet the game's charm soon wears off, and the basic gameplay loop quickly becomes a bit repetitive, dull, and tedious. So if you do want to give it a go, I'd suggest you play it in short bursts, so take that into consideration before paying £3.39 or $4.99 for this one.
This is our town. A peaceful, humble place in the mountains of Colorado. But nah, our town is under attack by horrible, deadly beings. And I'm the only one who seems to know. If they reach the town center, we're all dead. We cannot let them do that. We must protect our town.
From cartoons for adults to more cartoons for ruddy adults, but now we are going to have ourselves a time at South Park, as not only are there friendly faces and humble folks without temptations, but also two great games stuck exclusively within the 360 store that in my fecking personal opinions are must-haves. So first up, costing those from the UK £6.75 and those from the US $9.99, we have South Park Let's Go Tower Defense Play, a single player or cooperative tower defense style game that uses the lewd, rude, controversial yet smart comedy of the series to make an extremely ruddy niche genre of game far more awesome-o than it has any ruddy right to be.
Nerd.
But if you're not a fan of the cartoon and the thought of building and fixing your defenses over and over again till victory doesn't tickle that red rocket of yours, then this one ain't ruddy gonna be for you. But to anyone else, trust me, Let's Go Tower Defense is the Miss Chokes on Dick's tits. If you are a fan of South Park but don't like tower defense shenanigans but do enjoy some side-scrolling action-infused platforming antics, then I suggest you get your ghoulies out and gingerly bounce your way over to Tenons Revenge instead. Yeah, it has a few flaws, but with a few friends involved battling the unforgiving challenge of the old school retro style platforming and combining your old ruddy noggins together to collect the various time cores just make Tenons Revenge oh hella satisfying. Even better, the game's going to cost you less than a bowl of pubic lace chili and is currently sitting at £6.75 or $9.99 if you're in the US. But here's hoping they reduce the prices to $3.50 before the store closes, am I right?
I need about $3.50.
Right, while my old man is still playing Tetris even to this day, the apple did fall a bit far from the fecking tree, and I have never been the puzzle-based gaming ruddy fan. So with that in mind, I'm just gonna shout out Meteos Wars and OD Beat Drop. Both games are exclusive, as well as being highly rated and will likely tickle that intellectual pickle of yours. But alas, due to me being a dunce, I can't recommend either, as they ain't my bag, man. Sincerest of fecking ruddy apologies. Back in the days when the console wars actually meant a ruddy thing, being the ever so smart bellend you all love, I, Mr. Biddy Beer Bro, obviously chose the Xbox fecking 360 over the PlayStation 3. But with great choices comes great FOMO, which meant missing out on enjoying some of Sony's best exclusives. So what did I do? Well, just like buying Dante's Inferno to combat my God of War FOMO, I chose to buy Vigilante 8 Arcade to make up for missing out on the Twisted Metal games. And I'm glad I did, as this 360 exclusive takes the best parts of both original titles and combines them to deliver a destructive, high-octane vehicular combat-based ruddy good time.
I like it a lot.
So yeah, if you like attaching a wide array of stupid weaponry to obscure vehicles and blowing up every goddamn ruddy thing in your fecking path, well, this one will rev up that pickle of yours. But like most titles, this one's best enjoyed with a few friends involved.
Oh, friend!
So at £3.39 English or $4.99 Yankee Doodle Doo money, why the feck not?
You feel what I've done is unfair, but I let you go away. Why did you have to come back?
Sure, while the OG Xeno Clash is available elsewhere, its fecking Ultimate Edition is exclusively stuck on the 360 store. And what can I say about this one other than, well, it's odd, like really fecking odd. But in my opinion, that's no bad thing, as its weird Del Toro-esque well-designed and imaginative characters mixed with brutal, punchy, visceral, hand-to-hand ruddy combat somehow combine to make Xeno Clash the actual odd-shaped tits.
Stop it. Get some help.
So yeah, Xeno Clash feels retro, but in a good way, and takes classic old school FPS action, but replaces all the ruddy headshots with headbutts and lots of fisticuffs. Yes, there are guns and melee weapons, but who cares when unloading your old knuckles into creatures that wouldn't look out of place in my local watering hole is just so immensely enjoyable. New modes and features exclusive to the 360, such as new attacks and weapons, as well as a tower mode and co-op play, make this as ultimate as the title suggests. It's weird, it's wonderful, it's only $9.99 in the US and a mere £6.75 in the UK. Yo ho Kablammo is oddly fun to say, but is it fun to play? Well, quite frankly, no. The controls are dire, movement is clunky, and the gameplay loop is absolutely fecking tedious. Sure, it is a part of the arcade's history, but you're better off spending your £6.75 or $9.99 of your hard-earned treasure elsewhere. If you did watch my physical exclusives video, you may remember that I rambled on about the Xbox Live Vision camera and how the only game designed round the glorified webcam was You're in the Movies. Well, turns out I lied.
Liar!
Or maybe I just forgot. But can you really blame me for not remembering Totem Bull?
I couldn't give a tinker's fig.
Yeah, that odd game made up of rolling a ball round as some sort of turtle creature, collecting totems that all have different musical instruments in them, that once added to your turtle's ball changes the game's soundtrack, which in turn lets you progress further into the game. While it is indeed a novel concept reminiscent of Katamari but with music, unfortunately it's an absolute fecking headache to actually play due to the limitations of the camera. But hey ho, at least it's free, am I right? Playing as a protagonist that's part dishwasher, part samurai, part alien, and also partly dead should be enough to rock that gothly white pickle of yours. And look, yes, it may sound ridiculous, but this one-man-made, ink-stained hacking and slashing gem is one of the best games to grace the 360. So the fact that the dishwasher Dead Samurai never sliced its way onto new Xbox hardware is just a crying ruddy shame. As it's not just the edgy tits, it's not just the blood-covered tits either, it is in fact the soapy tits, which as we all know are the best kind of tits.
Yes.
Stylistic, visceral, brutally hard, yet extremely rewarding and uniquely beautiful. Yeah, Dishwasher is one of the finest examples of what made the Xbox Live Arcade so goddamn fecking special in the first place. So yes, this for me is the only must-buy game on the list, and if you've never heard of it, just go out and get it, as the mix of katanas, Uzis, and shotgun-based combat shenanigans will leave you smiling like a vampire from ear to ear.
I understood that reference.
Sure, it is hard as fecking nails, but it never feels cheap. You just need to jump back in and get good, son. Currently, the game will set you back £6.75 over here in tea-sipping land, or $9.99 for you Yanks. But considering the game features not only a fantastic solo campaign, but also an arcade mode, fully unlockable co-op, as well as a guitar-centric minigame that can be played with an actual Guitar Hero fecking controller, well, that's money well spent in my eyes. Whether you enjoy slipping into brightly coloured spandex and watching steroid-infused half-naked maniacs destroy their bodies for your entertainment or ruddy not, it's hard to fecking deny that wrestling makes for some great video game-based ruddy shenanigans. But while I do recommend grabbing WWE All-Stars and SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, as well as also checking out the actual Fire Pro Wrestling games due to that series series having some of the best storytelling ever to be seen in a grappling game, I just can't say the same about the 360 exclusive Fire Pro Wrestling title, as unfortunately, bar the novelty of seeing your avatars in whatever ridiculous getup you've got them wearing fight each other, there's not really much here to recommend. As well, it has none of the features of a Fire Pro Wrestling game that it shamelessly markets itself as. The game currently sits at £6.75 UK and $9.99 US. If you've ever wanted to play Worms but have
Scolosophobia,
well then Death Tank may likely tickle that worm of yours due to it basically being Worms but with tanks, which obviously just leads to all the multiplayer based laugh out loud mayhem you would expect. And yeah, while it may seem simple in concept, there is a surprising amount of strategy and depth hidden within this game. But even so, if you are not afraid of the wriggly little buggers, then the steep price of $14.99 or £10 may put you off.
Yes, sir. Company forwards. Yes, sir. Move out.
And now we go from a tank game to another tank game, but this time instead of being a remake of a retro classic, this one's based on a popular board game. But while Death Tank may set you back a pretty penny, Panzer Allied Assault will only cost you $4.99, which is kinda a steal as the game effortlessly manages to combine World War II board and card based shenanigans to give gamers a hands, not held strategic affair that delves accurately deep into the historic events of World War II. While the game may not be a looker, the Final Fantasy Tactics-esque gameplay mixed with a dash of Magic the Gathering's card collecting somehow just fused to make Panzer Allied Assault an absolute blast. Well, that is if you're into tactics-based gameplay. Oh yeah, while I'm on the topic of tanks, you could also go grab yourself Battlezone, an updated and expanded version of the highly acclaimed 1980s classic arcade game. But the game has so many ports, even getting a gold edition on newer consoles, so it's not really likely worth your ruddy cash.
Time to get the fuck out of here.
And that's your lot. There's still a few exclusives to cover, but I'm off to the ruddy pub. But I won't dilly-dally for too long and will be back as soon as my hangover allows me. So until then, just remember to stay healthy, stay happy, and as always, stay tipsy.